Welcome to The Brain Dump, where we study the psychology of success. Join us as we probe the habits, rituals, and routines of top-performing artists, entrepreneurs, authors, athletes, and more to uncover the timeless principles we can all use to take our lives to the next level. Are you ready to plunge the grunge that's been gunking up your mind's eye? Great, then let's get to it.
Guys, welcome back to the Brain Dump. Guys, Anthony, we're honored today. Don't call her conservative Julie at all right? Anthony, I think we have our number one fan here. Do I dare say stalker? Do we dare?
Do we go that far? Do we say it?
Well, can I just say I have the purple marble? So
I mean, only our number one fan would understand that reference. Yes. Honestly, Julie, I want to tell you a story because for the audience at home, we have a guest here today. It's Julie Holly. It's great. It's fantastic. Welcome. So on Instagram, I know it was on LinkedIn, Julie responded to one of our posts about Brain Dump, and she's like, "Oh, you guys should totally write a book about the boy with the purple marble." And I'll be honest, we talk and cover so much ground in this podcast. I texted Austin, I go, "I'm not sure I know what she's talking about." And he goes, "It sounds like something you would say." And I was like, "It surely does not." And so then we found it, the reference to the boy with the purple marble,
you went to
which
the
is
transcript?
pretty much. Which
well,
is
I had to go through every
purple
I had
marble.
I had to go through every episode at 2x speed.
Yeah. We went digging. My girlfriend went and found it too separately, and they both converged at the same moment. And really, it's just a story about the boy who cried wolf. But it's the boy with the purple marble. So Julie put that onto our radar, and she's such a big fan that even we didn't know what we were talking about.
Yeah,
that's how this goes usually. I think I'm such a big fan that I was the first person to write a review. So you guys were crushing it.
Yes, you were. Well, thank you. We appreciate that. If you want to, I guess we'll let people introduce themselves. Normally we just dive in, but if you would like to introduce yourself, that would be amazing.
Okay, I don't know what kind of introduction we want for this, so
keep it short. Okay, we got things to talk about.
I know
make it deep,
so much.
Make it poignant.
Okay, yeah. I am a kaleidoscope because I'm so multifaceted that multifamily does not encompass all of my life. So I'm the renegade multifamily investor who invests in all sorts of things, including mindset, so that people can grow into their best version of themselves. So today, I love your podcast. I love Brain Dump because it's the blend of the two worlds a little bit, but you can't be your best self if you don't have a good mindset. So
dude, she just destroyed that. I mean, that was I want to steal that in so many ways. Yeah.
I'm a kaleidoscope.
I am. I've been listening to the podcast. So I've been rehearsing this, right?
You were
every day in the shower, I'm like, what do I say? No,
I gotta bring the fire. They're going to be expecting fire.
For sure.
Well, you did. That's the best intro I've heard yet. So you win.
No, it's perfect. So like in pure fashion, we don't have any idea what we're going to talk about. We find ourselves, we got encyclopedia over there. I come from the streets, so I'm well versed.
That's Mr. Encyclopedia.
Mr. Encyclopedia
Brown.
What are we going to talk about today, Julie?
Well, there is so much that we could cover. I mean, seriously, we could all cover so much ground, and I will not keep up with the headiness of the two of you because you're so super articulate and well-read. So I'll just bring the conversation down to normal person level. But initially we were talking about how our personalities can help or harm us. And really we have to learn how to find harmony. Because our greatest strength, I love superheroes. I'm a superhero nerd, even though I don't know all of them. But all that to say, every superhero, their greatest strength is also their greatest weakness. And grab a picture of superheroes. But all this to say, right? Our greatest strength is obviously our greatest challenge. So as we're growing up as kids, and I am a mom of 2 kids, so I kind of see this in action, right? And I think that anyone listening is going to really look back at your childhood and see if this is true for you too. And it's not that parents intentionally do this to their children, because parents love their kids in general, right? But unfortunately, the most difficult things that we have growing up, and I'll speak as a mom, the struggles I have with my children I know are going to be their greatest strengths, right? So I have like a super strong-willed child. He's super awesome. And I have to remind myself, dude, this guy's going to go change the world. He has all of this in him, but it's pure raw material and it has to be refined. But most people through their growing up years, that refining process looks really, really harsh if you're in the public school system, any school system. So I'm not routing out public schools. But if you're in any type of system, like you don't know how to handle it. I had a lot of personality my whole life. Like, what do people do with that? And so like you can start to take on labels that are, oh, wow, that's bad. I'm bad that I'm strong-willed. I'm bad that I'm talkative. I'm bad. And so you start looking at these things in a negative way. And now you've entered into your adulthood trying to fit into somebody else's box. But more importantly, all of your greatest strengths, your perception of those strengths is that they are bad and should be avoided. So there's your topic.
All right, we're going to be here for a bit, guys. Go ahead and just get the sleeping bags out now, and I packed some s'mores. So let's dive into this. A couple questions that initially come to my mind that I like to unpack with you guys on a personal level is, what is your origin story? If we're keeping this in the lens of the superhero, and I fully subscribe to the idea that our weakness is our strength, and I really want to get into that concept here. And so, what is your origin story? What did you identify for both of you that was your weakness that now, with the benefit of time and distance and age and maturity, you look at and you're like, that's my strength?
Tag Austin. I just
I'm not,
like 20
I'm not,
hours talking.
No, I'm not gonna lie to you. There's no chance I don't cry during this episode.
And here's a challenge too for you, Austin, because I think it's all about challenging ourselves to keep pushing and growing. You have to tell a story or tell it in a way that we haven't heard from you before.
Done.
All right.
So easy. Everything that you said in the beginning, like I had to close my eyes because I got like emotional inside because everything they told me not to do my whole life, from middle school through elementary, through kindergarten, through high school, through college, is what I'm championed for now. Like, and they say that, oh, that's the best qualities of you. Like you can network and your brain's quick and you can adapt and you're flexible and you make people feel good and you bring the energy. And I got kicked out of 3 kindergartens until I met a lady, Miss McMenemy. I still remember her, who said, my mom got a letter when I was 3. And I could still see that letter in my head that said, I think your son has mental problems. He bites, he kicks, he yells, he mistreats people. And we recommend as a school system that you should go get help. And she met me and she said, no, he's an angel. He's just misunderstood. And she set me back straight. Now, I'm not saying it worked for the rest of the school, but I'm 38 and that stuff still sits with me to this day. And it's one of the reasons I have a podcast, one of the reasons I had a woman, a single mom on yesterday who's got 3 kids who almost died 2 weeks ago and is now sober, or a year ago, whatever. And she told her story and 500 people have listened and she's losing her shit. Like she can do anything. Is that we've become this society of everything has to be perfect exactly the way it is. And we stomp out creativity. We stomp out growth. We stomp out trying stuff. Right. And I'm loud and I am boisterous and I have energy and I almost use it as a shield to give people the freedom to live in their own light in that way. Right. And so that's what I bring to the world. And so this topic is literally has 9 different layers of everything, because it is everything. Because my girlfriend loves to study the signs, right? And there's a lady named Deborah Silverman, who's a Sagittarius as well, who talks about how to love a Sagittarius. And after she met my coach and met with him in Costa Rica and found out a little bit about me, and then listened to Deborah, and she's like, "Oh, you're just a fire sign. You literally can't sit still, and you're a fucking behemoth. Like you just go." And then you were in a bad marriage, so there's like hurt emotions where you just want to run, right? All the opportunity. You're sober now, and so she's like, "Why am I supposed to be mad about that?" And it's the most wild thing to have somebody that close to you to just let you be you and love you for that. And I don't think I've had that my entire life. And it's the most uncomfortable / amazing thing at the same time, because you're learning to be loved. I can give it all day. It's the accepting that is what I'm going through currently.
That's so powerful. The point of, there's so much there. And I just want you to know, I appreciate you sharing that point of receiving, of being able to be vulnerable, because everybody just gets knocked around as they're growing up, and kids have zero control. Like, you're stuck in whatever setting you're in because you can't drive anywhere. You can't, like, it's not like you can just in college just get out of the class and say, like, yeah, I'm out of here. You can't do that. And so you're absolutely completely stuck. And if your peer group is a certain way, you're stuck with whatever peer group you have. And if that's not a healthy peer group to be around, you're still stuck with them, and you can't veto it. You can't say or do anything about it. And if you have a reputation of any sort that's not the most glamorous, you have no credibility to stand up for yourself. Nobody will say, "Oh, wow, yeah, this is probably something we should address." So, I mean, like, there's so much there, but then to reach adulthood and then to reach the point of learning how to receive. I'm convinced that people in this world don't know how to receive things.
No.
Like, we're not taught how to receive.
No, you're out here, right? In the work I do in the recovery space. And they just want no judgment. They don't even give a fuck. They can change. And here's what's fucking scary as shit. They change. Let's say they change, but yet their family members and everybody they know only knows them as an alcoholic. And so they identify them because that's comfortable for them. And that's the hard part. Everybody can get sober. It's that your family members, like, do you know how many people still see me and they're like, "Oh, you think you're a podcast host and a mindset coach? Like, go fuck yourself. We know you as the fucking asshole drunk." And that's what I have to live with, but I'm okay with that because that says more about them than it does me, right?
100%.
But I can see that other people can't. Like, and you know what I want to do? Not that I don't have enough going on, right? Enough podcasts, but the one down the road I want to create, the one that fathoms me, and it's like the number one thing that drives me crazy, breaking through generational poverty. Like that family member that does it for the family. I think it's the most, that takes because it's not for you. It has nothing to do with you. It takes everything that you got. I've met amazing Hispanic, African-American, multifamily, single family investors who nobody went to college, nobody invested. And to see them rise up and say, no, as my buddy says, every family needs that one stunner to change the life of everybody else. And you know what's crazy? That extreme home makeover, which I can't watch without crying, because I'm going to do that for people. I'm not joking. I'm going to do that with my construction company. I don't even care about the home. Where I lose it is when they give them free college educations. And I know that's going to change 5 generations because they just want a chance. They just want a chance, and nobody gives it to them anymore.
Isn't that what everybody wants, though? Like, yes. Whether or not we want to admit it or not, we are all like, I mean, I know a lot of your origin story from listening to the podcast and just seeing you around, different social spaces, but it's like, everyone just wants to put people in these boxes and be like, oh, okay. Just like when you're moving, oh, here's this box, label, put it on the shelf. And I'm never going to revisit that ever again. And that's where you're stuck for all the time, because it takes effort in order for me to look at somebody from my past and say, oh, they've changed. They're a different person. They're no longer the partier. They're no longer this person. That takes effort on my part. And we were talking about story brand before we started. And it talks about like all the calories people don't want to burn while they think. Like, I don't want to have to think about that. That means I actually have to be thinking about you on this so much deeper level. Is it worth it? I mean, like, that's the reality, right? People are like, it's not worth it. I'll just leave you there in the box. That's
Austin, you should definitely do that podcast. It's really interesting because I don't know if I could peg another one that's already on that topic, but the boxes is such an interesting one because we've talked about neuronal pathways and how we form identities and how we form thoughts and how that really becomes like imprinted in our brain in a physical way. Like when we have a thought, our brain is physically restructuring itself to make that thought easier on subsequent attempts. And so when we identify, we put somebody into that box, it's so simple. It's like a habit. We know where to reference it. Austin the drunk or Julie the loudmouth. I don't know. I don't know actually what your baggage was, but I'm going to throw that one and say that's the one. We'll go with that. And then to reframe that label, you know, we work so hard to get outside of our own boxes and restructure it in our own head. That's battle number one, right? When Austin's talking about, you know, they still think he's this drunk asshole, but he's okay. That's not him. That's them. That's a them thing because he's already worked through that and done the work. But it's so difficult because we spend so much time thinking about ourselves and we want to minimize the amount of energy that goes into navigating the world. And so that's why we create these heuristics of, oh, so-and-so is such and such. And we don't change that. And it takes a long time for them to show up consistently for it to start changing for us. And that's something that I've struggled with is recognizing, okay, I've done the internal work. I'm changing. I'm not that person that I used to be, but I've been spending hours and months and years working on that. Whereas the other person, they're now just seeing me on chapter 12 rather than chapter 1. And they're still holding me to chapter 1. And I'm like, no, I'm not there anymore. You know, and that's where I get, there's this frustration, but it's also like somebody, so I want to share a story. I might have shared this before is I was engaged once and my fiance, she calls me one day. She went back home to visit family and she calls me one day and just breaks it off out of the blue. And it was really hard for me because it came like to me, like a bolt out of the sky. I was like, wait, what? And from that moment on, after she had made that decision, it was very difficult to get her to engage in conversation and talk through it and work through it. And somebody pointed out to me, you know, she's been living with that question. Do I want to be with this person? And she's been wrestling with it for the last 6 months, probably. And she finally made that decision and you're just now where she was 6 months ago. You're trying to process it, but she's moving on now. And like, that was super hard for me. I was like, how can we not be at the same place? And it's the same thing with identity is like, we've been working on ourselves so much longer than the people around us realize. And so you have to give them a little bit of grace and forgiveness if they're still trying to hold you back in the same way that Austin said, you know, that's on them. That's not a me thing.
Well, I mean, that's my divorce. I mean, in a nutshell, like I was so done for so long. Mm-hmm. The moment my coach said, you're a pussy, like, stop. He's like, she's tried to separate like twice. And the time that she does it, he said, you know, that song, Toto, Hold the Line. I want that playing in your mind when she says it again. And she says it one more time. And I said, okay, yeah, let's go on a break. Boom. Mm-hmm. And I was so done. That she, for whatever reason, thought that we were going to get back together. Baby, I was gone. And she had such a problem with it in the moment. You're so methodical about this. And I said, no, I'm trying to break up real estate and businesses. And I'm just trying to get it through with the least amount of friction. But what she didn't realize, now that Anthony says that, I realized that I was so done for so long. And she was just catching up to the party. And that's where the disconnect comes. That's a really eye-opening point.
Mm-hmm. And this isn't relationship advice, and I don't even want to spend too much time like on relationships in particular on this episode, but it is interesting when we talk about identity and that lag of the people around us and why they still keep us in those boxes.
I mean, I'm going to default again, though, that it's so much easier for people to just label us and leave us in a box. And let's be real. I do it. You guys do it. We all do it. You know, we kind of, and it's convenient and it serves people really well. It's just that we really have to come back and revisit those boxes, you know, and make sure that everything is still is that appropriate? Is that even the right thing? I mean, I'm actually completely opposed to the box, except that it could be an open box.
Well, I know, but isn't the bigger issue not so much what other people put you in the box with, is what you put yourself in the box with?
Oh, dang. Absolutely. But,
right?
Right.
I mean, 100%. No, because this is the thing I talk about all the time. This world, especially the Western society, is this absolute like society where, you know, this is the only job I was supposed to say. This is the only opportunity. And I look at the opportunities that are in front of me right now with the businesses I'm building. If the 9 bajillion things and the heartbreak and the ripping apart of my soul and ripping apart my head and my body wouldn't have happened, I wouldn't be available for them. And these are the opportunities I waited for my whole life. And so there's almost, we've stricken like curiosity and wonder from society. Like, you know, we're not allowed to like just walk without a clock or a phone. You know, nobody does that anymore. Right. Like, and it's this word that keeps coming up this week, permission. That word to me feels so powerful. And I was talking to my massage bodywork guy this morning. We had him on the podcast and he was like, when I pay you, like, and when he comes, that's me giving myself permission to shut everything down for an hour and a half. If I didn't pay him and he didn't come, I don't know if I would do it.
I've never thought of that in that way. How payment, that is such 100% Western culture type thing. Like, that's my freedom. I bought my freedom. I emancipated myself from this so that I could go pursue that.
Because I learned this from Gary Vee. He said he couldn't get healthy personally.
So he paid.
But when he paid a guy, he would show up for him. And so it's the same way I show up for my bodywork masseuse guy. I want to show up to him in the best possible way. And that way I know I've kind of hacked my own. And I'm not saying it's proper, but for right now, because I literally get out of there and I'm a different person. Like, and I need that, right? But that's me trying to understand this coaching space where I'm taking on so much energy. I've got to let it out. And for me, that time, I close about 7 loops in my week. It's like the only time. But if I didn't do that, I don't think I would. And maybe it's not right, but hey, it works for me right now.
You know, Austin, you said something there that I want to touch on real quickly. It's almost tangential. You said, I don't know if it's proper. And I want to touch on that because right now I've picked up the guitar again. I used to play a lot and I haven't played in a long time. I started playing again and I was taking a lesson and the coach, he goes, if it sounds good, it is good. It's like, don't get too caught up in the music theory. Like, if it sounds good, it is good. If it works, it's not stupid, or it's not stupid if it works, right? And so if that's what it takes, I think, to get you to that place where you're taking the steps you need to take to, you know, give yourself permission. Because at the end of the day, permission is a really powerful word, but the person that is the most difficult to get permission from is ourselves. And this is why I talk about how you go on some podcasts and they ask, like, how do you give back? Like, what's your preferred way of giving back? And I don't like to talk about that, but what I will talk about is that I think the way that we can give back to the people around us the most is by living up to our full potential or striving for it and doing it publicly in a way that gives permission for the people around us to say, oh, I could do that too. And it's not weird to try. It's not weird to try and get out of your box. And like, there's something respectable about that journey. And sometimes all you need is to look over and be like, damn, Austin, that former drunk asshole, he's out of his box. Well, maybe I could get out of my box.
That's empowering.
The only and this is what changed my entire life with this thing, because I'd be interested to hear Julie's philosophy on this, because I feel like we're really kindred spirits. I realized in my 20s, I was a pecker. I was do this because it's the right thing to do. Do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. And nobody would fucking listen. My brother doesn't give a fuck. Like nobody listens. And I'm like, something's wrong. So when I got sober, I didn't tell anybody. I literally did not tell anybody, just my business partners. And I got sober and I shared something on Instagram, and an old buddy that I used to work with in the music business, he was like, hey, I got sober because of you. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he was like, well, I realized if your retarded ass could do it, like I know I could. And he's like, but then in the moment it hit me. The only way that you truly change the people around you is by living the best version of yourself. It's not by telling them what to do. And it's the same thing that girl I interviewed. Are you ready for this? She's working out. She's lost 30 pounds. She's off of all of her blood medications. Her dad has type 2 diabetes. He's eating salads. He's working out. The 8-year-old's working out. Her husband's working out. I'm like, yeah. And she goes, I don't understand. I go, you just keep doing you and people will show up. And it's funny, not to go on a tangent with this. And I know.
I think this whole show is kind of a tangent.
No. I know, but Julie's brand. I don't want to, Julie's brand, I don't want to be careful.
Kaleidoscope? What?
No, but Aubrey Marcus was is in an interview with Ed Milet. And he was saying that he goes and does like testosterone. He does like spiritual retreats, right? And he does whatever they do out there. I'll keep it PG for Julie's crowd. And he said he was trying to tell his family, right? Hey, do this. And nobody would listen. And what happened is he stopped saying anything and he just started showing up at his family events happy. And then 2 times he did that, they reached out and said, hey, dude, what are you doing? We got to do this. People feel like they need to say something. Don't say anything. Just go out, be happy, joyful. Live it. You know what I'm saying? Do you identify with that Pecker theory at all? Okay.
Oh yeah, totally. There's so much. There's always like everything everything you guys say. I'm like, oh, there's like 100 things to say to that. But here's the thing: is that a lot of this comes down to acceptance and self-acceptance, and I'm really dealing a lot right now with the concept of ego. And you have to really like look at ego as it's so much more than most people are giving it credit for. And it's so important to interact with ego. And ego is actually such a healthy, construct for us to work with. Well, like if you can learn to accept yourself, like, why do I have to be perfect? Yeah. I was like, literally, my last name was Walton before. Like it was literally like the Walton show, like it's, just there is this level of pressure of like, oh, you guys are all like the perfect Walton family type thing, and it's like there is this level of, well, you better, show up and make sure you do all the right things and everything. Unfortunately, I'm a little bit of a wild card. So because I didn't identify with everything. It was like, but I care about those people and I care about those people and those people and those people. Cause I value all people. I value how people think and that it's different from me. And I realize that like travels back to when I was a kid. So it was like, but that wasn't really, it was like accept people to a certain extent. Right. And, here I am like later in life talking to homeless people and like talking to whoever. And I'm always talking to whoever, like, I don't care. Like that could be me. I don't know. Like, let me just accept you but it's easier to accept others. It's harder to learn to accept ourselves and to say, yeah, I got these areas where it's a train wreck. That's okay. That's not permanent. That's not forever. I'm always developing and evolving into the next best version of myself. So how about I be nice to myself and accept it?
Yeah, this reminds me of Jordan Peterson's rule, one of his rules for life, which is treat yourself as though you are somebody worth caring for. I think that's it. Treat yourself as though you're somebody worth caring for. So it's like the idea that, think about, I don't know if you guys have pets, but we have 2 cats and a dog, and we treat them like children. We don't have children, so they're the closest thing that we have. And we treat those animals, and I think most pet owners do, far, far better than we treat ourselves in many cases. Where if they're sick, if they're uncomfortable, if they, whatever, they need to go to the vet, like we'll take them to the vet, but we'll put off going to the doctor ourselves for months on end. And we're I don't know if it's permission or if it's acceptance or what it is, but realizing that like your first and most important calling in this world is to first take care of yourself so that you are capable of showing up and taking care of the people that you love. And it's really interesting because Julie, I think you come from an education background, like working in the schools, right? And my partner, she also works in the schools, and it's very interesting where people who they're big-hearted people who put others before themselves and just invest in like how can I care for the children or help them come up, and like they care so much about others, and they don't have good self-care routines at all. They don't have any, and they're some of the most unhealthy people in the world, both physically, mentally, emotionally. Like they're just train wrecks, but they show up like heroes every day for somebody else, and they never show up for themselves. And you're pulling from a well that will eventually run dry. And when that happens, all that's left is you are a burnt out husk, and there's no more water to be given to the people around you. And so you have to first take care of yourself so that you can keep pulling from that well. So it's like fill up your own cup first, and like fill up your cup so that it overflows. And with that overflow, fill up the cups of the people around you.
Unfortunately, I think we've been conditioned that we're selfish if we do that.
Exactly.
Oh, I need to take care of everyone else first. Like, I got to serve others first. And it's like, it's very culturally counterintuitive because it's just in the fiber of our culture to serve others. Otherwise you're a selfish jerk. And it's like, no, like you're saying, like when I was teaching, it'd be like, this sound really, it'll sound however it's going to sound. But for the demographic, particularly that I taught with, I made sure that I showed up and that I looked my best, that I showed up as my best as a person inside and outside, because not all of those students had a role model to say, one, just look your best. It's okay to feel great. It's okay to show up. And if it makes you feel better, it's great. It's excellent. But that whole, like, just being a role model for something like that, kind of weird. I don't go around talking about that, but even within faculty, depending on the tribe that you are surrounded by, they might look at you like, why are you looking all like that? Well, why do I want to look like that? If I look like that on the outside, how do I feel about myself on the inside?
Mm-hmm. It was
kind of to your point.
Really interesting when we were building our manufacturing business a number of years ago. In 2017, we had been in business for a number of years at that point, but we only had like a handful of employees. And then we hit this inflection point where we started adding a lot of employees, and we went from 5 employees up to 25 employees in the span of a year. And me and my partner, we are what you would call dirtbags. So if you were to, at that point, I had a friend who said, if I had to identify in 2 words what your fashion style is, it would be hobo chic. I was like the best dressed hobo you've ever seen. And we had a conversation one day because we were showing up to work in flip-flops and cargo shorts and like tank tops and things like that. And we had a conversation about what that projects to the people that are coming into work and what that means for the work that you're doing. It's hard to get really excited and feel like the work that you're doing has deep meaning and purpose when you're not showing up and taking it seriously. And that doesn't mean like showing up in a suit and a tie or anything like that, but showing up as though like what you do matters. And so we started doing that. And in short order, it started to permeate the culture. But it was like, okay, we're showing up because what we do matters every day. And then when COVID hit and we were working from home, one of the things that I recommend to people is get up every day, take a shower, and then get dressed as though you were going to work.
Yep.
Because it matters. Like to yourself. You see it in yourself when you look in the mirror. If you're in sweatpants all day, you feel like a person who's in sweatpants all day.
Dude, the number one thing I say to my coaching clients, I couldn't fucking tell you how many of these guys I picked up during COVID, and they wear the same fucking sweatshirt and their fucking beard and shit. And you know what their first comment to me is? Well, I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks about me. Yeah, I'm fully aware of that, cowboy. But guess
we
what?
can see that.
I was
You
like,
don't care about yourself.
I said, but guess what? The guy in the mirror and that wife of yours, she cares. And you know what's interesting? Because I'm guilty of this, right?
What are you guilty of, Austin? I think we lost him. So we'll just keep the conversation going until Austin gets unfrozen there.
But there's so much truth to that about just being postured. And I think that all of that began. So I think that we have a shared past, I think, in rock climbing. You're way better than me, but I did a lot of time climbing, spent a lot of time climbing in Yosemite and such. All that. Yeah. It was basically my backyard, ditch college classes and all that. Yeah. Super like best times of my life. But, there was definitely like what we call, the dirtbag hippies and everything, the camp floor. Right. So you have all of that going on. Maybe he'll come back. But all that to say is like, it was kind of like a freedom. And I feel like people have to go through the metamorphosis of like, I accept that and give myself permission to relax and to not take things too seriously. But you have to make that next transition to say, awesome, I know that I can be relaxed and I can take things not so seriously. And I'm comfortable being that person. And I know myself and accept myself enough to, that's fine. And now I'm evolving into this next version of myself. And I'm seeing that I want to show up in this other way. And I want, that's going to make me feel a certain way. So I think there's like a little snowball effect that might happen.
Mm-hmm. For me, thinking back on my climbing and like within climbing, we talk about the dirtbag lifestyle. And that was me for a long, long time, living in the back of a van, sleeping in tents like 200 days out of the year. And I love that life because, going back to the one of the questions we had at the beginning of the show, which was, what's your origin story? What's your weakness that then turned into your strength? And one of my weaknesses / strengths is that I'm like, fiercely freedom oriented. Like I have to be in control of my life and my time. And nowhere did I feel more free than when I was climbing on the side of a cliff, because who can get to you? The world has no need for you at that moment. All that matters to you is the next move up the rock. And that becomes your entire focus, which for me was very powerful at that period of my life. But then I didn't outgrow it, but there came a point when I decided I wanted to pivot and start focusing on what comes next, on the next phase of my life, and realizing that I wanted to have impact, and that impact and freedom, there's a little bit of a push and a pull there. I think there's a quote, the price of freedom is responsibility. And that quote really started to resonate with me, about 8 years ago, where I was like, okay, how am I making impact and giving back? And so I started to really shift with intention, my identity and how I showed up in the world. And it's taken a long time, I think, for the people who knew me before that point as the climber, as the person who just lives in the dirt. It's taken them a long time to accept and see that growth and that change. But it's also been one of the more rewarding things in just recognizing that we're not stagnant beings, that we go through these phases, and who we were does not necessarily mean that's who we have to stay.
Isn't that the coolest? This is something that I've been thinking about for months now. And that is that whole like growth and evolution of a person, of the individual. So we always thought, my husband and I compared life to, different climbing ropes. And it's like, you're either static or you're dynamic. And it's like, you don't want to be a static rope. You drop, you're going to snap and,
it's going to hurt.
It's going to hurt a lot, like you want to be dynamic. And in life, we want to be dynamic people. We want to have that stretch and like, we want to have that give. And like you and I know, like sometimes if you take a fall and you're climbing and you're on that dynamic rope, there's like, for people listening, like you have that pull and then it kind of squishes back together again to keep it easy. And like sometimes, and that's what we're doing throughout all of life, throughout this, like from our childhood up until, the day we die. Hopefully we're going through this like little, stretching, and then it kind of comes back together and stretches and comes back together, but you're always progressing into that next best version.
Yeah, it reminds me of the idea that the rigid board breaks, whereas the willow, it bends. And so we can't be rigid with our identities. This is something that's so difficult because our identity is something that is so closely tied at the core of who we are that we stop even challenging it or considering what it would be like to change that. And so, some identities, I'd be really curious to kind of dive into like, what are some of the identity shifts that we've gone through as individuals over the years? Austin, welcome back to the show. That was very kind of you to drop out and then come back. So wait, come back here. Where's he going? He left us. Anyways.
This feels like a dysfunctional relationship right now.
Yeah. He just couldn't handle it. There was just too much greatness in this episode. So Austin had to leave. But I'd be curious, like, what are those identity shifts that you've gone through in your life, and what do you think the next stage is for you? Like, what identity are you looking at right now where you're like, I want to change this, or I want to grow? What comes next?
Yeah, and I'll get into that. And part of that is, in order to grow into the person you want, you have to start visualizing and seeing that person down the road. And you have to accept that that's where you can go. But I mean, I started out like I was the little chatterbox, but I was always like this upbeat, bubbly, like happy person, And so that just has always been like a consistent thread, but that's not always accepted. So here's like the big reveal for a lot of people is that people accept and receive people who are negative. Like, yeah, of course you're negative. You're supposed to be negative. This world sucks. If you are like naturally happy, kind of joyful person, people question you, especially if you're blonde. They question you, they doubt you, you're insincere, you're dumb. Like you're just, you talk about like
naive.
Naive. Oh yeah. You're just, totally naive. Yes.
The world just hasn't kicked you in the teeth yet. You just wait for it.
Oh, you just wait, buttercup, and dang, I've gotten kicked around a lot. So it was like identity shifts, like accepting, like as soon as when I went into college, I was like, I just accepted myself and then like, this is who I am. And I ended up finding myself in my early 20s in a really I've started talking about it a little more openly over the last couple of months, but I was like in a really destructive marriage, and it was like, I'm suicidal. Like I've grown up in this sheltered life that's like beautiful, and might have had the pull of I need to be kind of perfect, but at the same time, it was also a very safe environment on most levels, right? That's not safe to grow up in it and with that kind of pressure. But I end up in this really dysfunctional, terrible marriage situation, and end up having to choose again, who am I? Who am I and who do I want to be in this world? Like, do I want is even a choice of, do I want to live or die? Like that was the choice. And it's like, you know what, if I'm going to choose this. And once again, for me, every choice that I make always takes me back to God. It's like, you and me, God, forget all the other people. It's just you and me. Like whatever plan you have, I'm cool with that. And I'm going to make a lot of people really upset and really uncomfortable, but I'm making this choice and I'm going to stick with you through this choice. And, ended up being the first person in my family to get divorced. And like, that's, that talk about something to like have to work through. That took years to work through with that identity, because he always felt like Scarlet Letter and all of that. But whatever, like that's fine. I don't care what other people say. I have something more in life and I'm going to pursue that. So those are like probably the major identity shifters. Becoming a parent, it shifts your identity in the sense that you start to see how much you're shaping somebody else and you see yourself. So you're actually interacting with yourself and you're like, crap, I don't want to squish that, I know that's going to serve you well, but there's that wrestling. So it's a really interesting process, but in like where I'm going identity wise, it's scary. It's scary to think good things for yourself, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Isn't that weird? Again, we're always like, is that part of evolution? Like fight or flight? Like it's just hardwired into us to look for the negative so that we can survive. But so, it's hard to say like, wow, you know what? I'm going to go and I'm going to impact people's lives and I'm going to help help people find the best life that they have ever lived. And I'm going to help them find their freedom to do that the same way that I have found my freedom.
It's interesting because we're fighting our biology in a lot of ways at this point, because society has evolved past a lot of the things that we as a species evolved to survive. Like, you point out the pessimism because historically a lot of the world around us wanted to kill us, and there was a lot of really dire consequences to guessing wrong and being an optimist. And nowadays in the modern world, the threats are much, much lower. They're a lot less existential. The things that can kill you if you make the wrong decision are a lot lower, generally speaking. And so now we have the ability to focus on those higher purposes, those higher callings in life. And we're wrestling with big, squishy, hard issues that we weren't really developed as a species to handle in a lot of ways. And that becomes a struggle. But one of the things that is interesting is you're talking about, God as being like your guiding light there, is that you had a value system that you, despite the identity shifts, you clung to the value system. And that's like what pulls you through. And I'm wondering for you, Austin, because I'm guessing that you probably went through some value changes along with your identity shifting, or would you say that the values that you have now are the values that you've always had, but that they were buried beneath all the garbage?
At 36 years old, I've reburned this bitch up like 16 different times in the last 10 years. Like, true story. And I'll cover what you covered about the divorce, because that's a huge, huge moment. But long story short, played the victim for 20 years in my parents' divorce. And when I finally started doing some work, I realized that I was buying properties to please my dad, who didn't give a shit, or at least, And then you play the game of, then I found out why my parents really divorced. And then the stories I told myself for 20 years that I've been fueling everything that I've lived off of was false. Mm-hmm. So then I had to re-find everything. There's a podcast I did with my coach 2 days after I found out, which was like, and then I realized, that my dad told me why 20 years later, whatever, blame him for that it took 20 years. But in the middle of the interview, I realized that I had to have compassion for him, because can you imagine, as a father, getting beat up by me for 20 years, holding that and holding the space to let me be angry and not come at me? So I have compassion for the man, even though we don't have a great relationship. I have compassion for his will in there, and he's got faults, and so has my mom got faults. And then the cherry on top of the cake. You're 37 years old. You've got 3 properties together. You've got a dog. You're talking about kids, and her brother's your best friend, and her dad's your dad, and you have to get divorced. And funny enough that we're having this conversation right now, because we released this episode today. I was in LA, and Sal set me down. Wise ass 24-year-old, wise beyond his years, said this simple phrase to me, and it changed my entire life. You're 37. How do you want the next 40 years of your life? He said, you have an opportunity at a second chance. Don't you dare go back because you're scared, and that's comfortable. Because what you got to do on the other side of that is hard. And it sucks. And here's the kicker. And this is one of the problems with America. People don't choose the hard. They stay in the loveless marriage. They stay in my dreams are dead. And I would venture to guess that 60% of marriages, maybe more, really want to get out, but they're too scared to have a conversation. And what I did, right? What everybody's jealous of, and what she did was the hard thing. But look, holy shit, like it's only been a year, right? Like next week, or it wasn't like this week. Today. It's been a year. Today. Yeah. Now that I'm thinking of it, I don't even know what day it is, but yeah, I think it's today. I didn't even realize that. But I'll look back on that right? And here's what's crazy, and what I don't talk about this very often, but and she's made it very clear to keep her name out of it. Like, that was very adamant in the beginning when I started the podcast. But I will say this, and she's comfortable with me saying this. Her mom died 2 years into our marriage unexpectedly, and she got really bad social anxiety, and it got really bad for a couple of years. And we tried doctors and everything we could think of, everything. I mean, everything. And we got to the end, and I just couldn't. Something didn't sit right with me. I said, something's wrong. I don't know what it is. Doctors can't help. And I came to the conclusion when I was hiking one day that the anxiety was our marriage. And you know what's crazy? We separated on April 15th. She's never had an anxiety attack since. She's lost 40 pounds. She's happy as shit. It was our marriage. It was the responsibility of having to show up as a false version of ourselves, both of us, lying to ourselves that that's what we're supposed to do, was stay married. And we were both fake as all get out. And so when you see me take on 2 podcasts, and you see me start 4 businesses, and you see me travel across the country, it's because the first time in my life, I feel like myself, like the guy I was always supposed to be. And it feels fucking awesome. What my coach said to me that changed my entire life, and the reason I finally decided to get divorced, was this simple fact. He said this statement to me. He said, Austin, you inspire me every day. Every day, he said, you inspire me. You are a driving force of good and impact. But I want to share something with you. You're doing all these things. Running the business, Airbnb, podcasts, all this stuff. And your home life is toxic. Can you imagine how high you could fly if you had somebody that supported you? And then he said, when are you going to let you off your death sentence? When are you going to forgive yourself and go live your life? Because I was so drunk for our marriage that I believed it was a burden, right? Austin gets sober and then he leaves his wife. Like, what a fucking prick. But what I realized is it wasn't my burden to bear, because I did the work. And the reason I didn't do the work for a long time, because I knew the moment that I did the work, we would get divorced. I knew it as soon as I started doing the work. And it's the courage, right? I read something the other day, like entrepreneurship isn't like belief. It's fucking courage. Like the belief is bullshit. You have to have the courage in yourself to change. You have to want to go out and do it. And we don't coach that anymore. We coach safe and practical. And we coach, no, don't do that because that's going to cause a ruckus.
Oh, wait, put the little confines up on the trampoline and put this on and make sure you're wearing your pads and your helmet. I mean, like we do this, like from the moment kids, I do require bike helmets. I do. Because you mountain bike, you can roast your brains and that's your computer. But other than that, it's like, people want to coddle. It's like, there's so much coddling and safeguarding. Like, oh, let me just make sure you're safe. Like, no, go get beat up a little bit and it'll show you your limits and big time. You said so much there. Oh my gosh.
My dad said something to me when I was a kid. He's like, my only job is to keep you out of the grave and out of jail. Everything else is fair game.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's the truth.
I don't want to gloss over anything that you said because there's so much
truth
to everything that you said. No, there's nothing. You can't gloss over that because it's like so many people, like you said, are in that and they're afraid. They are terrified. I remember in my first marriage just being like absolutely I was like, I stayed fit and in shape and I didn't, actually what's more terrifying is that it caught everybody off guard and nobody knew how bad my life was. Yeah. And that's another, not to like make this about me because I want to respond to you, but that's also a terrifying moment when you realize like, oh, wow, I really can dance this dance so well that nobody knows that I might just out myself. Like, this is really bad and scary. I became a very big oversharer after that because I terrified myself. I'm like, oh my gosh, these people did not know that there was abuse going on. They didn't know I was suicidal. They didn't know all this stuff. Like, oh my gosh, I better like actually like communicate with people so that I stay safe and healthy.
Well, what's powerful is that girl I interviewed yesterday said the only reason she got sober is because she had to go in the emergency room, and it wasn't a secret anymore. Like, her family and her mom and her dad, her brother, her like husband knew, like, oh shit, like it's a real problem. Like, but why do we as a society have to take it there? Like, why do we have to take it to that 911 level? Like, can we change beforehand? Like, everybody wants to fix recovery people after they've been to rehab. I'm trying to get them before they go to rehab.
Oh, I love that. That makes me so happy.
You know, and like everybody's like, Austin, you're angry on your podcast. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm talking to my 17-year-old self. And I hope you're listening. You don't need to go through all the things I've been through. You don't need to go through what me and Julie have been through. You don't need to go through what Anthony's been through. That's why we have these conversations. And if you think there's a problem, there probably is. And I'll be honest with you, if you think there's a problem, it's probably a bigger problem than you know. And so reach out and don't stay silent. Like, seriously, you know what's interesting, especially with COVID, and it hurts even more? So many people hurting out there. So many people that are hurting in silence too. And it's like, just don't. Like, stop fucking watching Instagram and thinking that you need all this shit. You don't need anything. Just be you. And here's the scary thing. You probably don't know what that looks like, and that's okay. But it takes one decision. You know what I told people the other day? I was was doing a speech. Drug addiction, alcoholism, divorce, laid off, all the things. But you know what I had in my back pocket? The most important thing, the opportunity. That's it. It was always there. And that's all you need to change is the opportunity. And what you said, what I realized that employees need, like actual employees, I realized the only thing they ever need is the opportunity. Don't stifle them. It's the same thing with your kids. Give them the opportunity to be who they are. If they're goofy, let them be goofy. If they're smart, let them read books. Like, don't, gosh, it just breaks my heart. This
is such a high level of acceptance. That's what this comes down to. Like, you have to have this highest level of acceptance. So like, my husband and I were talking about this just this morning when we were working out, and I was actually listening to the interview with you and Sal, the first part when I was doing stuff. Anyhow, so good, you guys. Anyhow, see, still number one fan. Like, we're almost done recording, and I'm still number one fan. But all this to say is that there's no level of acceptance. So like, even like, I love Jesus. I love God. Like, that is like my thing. I love, like, totally sold out. You know what breaks my heart? Is a lack of acceptance. I heard something when I was at church, and I'm like,
don't even get me going.
I kind of consider myself kind of like, I'm like, I guess I'm a renegade, you know, Jesus follower. Cause, you know, like, and my husband said, why do you think most people don't like going to church? Cause I said, you know, like, the teacher was saying this, and I just wanted to stand up and say that won't happen until until the people within here can do this. Like, I'm here because I love Jesus.
You got to stop, because we could go another hour on this conversation.
Oh my gosh, it's like
dude, the number one problem with the religion space is that the whole teaching is acceptance, and they don't do it. I've never.
Exactly. Can I just accept you for where you are and say, I'm not responsible for you or your mess. I got enough going on my own that I am responsible for. So how about this? How about I accept you, you accept me, and we help each other out, and we trust. For me, I trust that God's got this, and he'll work it out with everybody. And it's not my job to play God in your life. It's just my job to come and cheer you on and to love you and accept you. Like, can we just start there? Like, please. So like, that highest level of acceptance, like, let me just accept people where they are.
Powerful.
So important.
I'm sure Anthony has like 9 more meetings, so we probably got to get out of here.
No. I'm good. I'm just,
Julie, do you have time?
He
do you have time?
Well, I actually do have to go.
Okay. Well, because you know what, Julie, we're going to save that conversation for my podcast tomorrow, because I have not touched this with a 10-foot pole because it's a scary thing when you start.
There.
But what I'm saying is, it's the number one thing that I don't understand. Literally, I do not give a shit if you are purple, brown, yellow, religion, Baptist, Buddhist. I don't care. We become the society of this is how you need to think. It doesn't work that way. Like, my mom's been telling me this since I was like 2. It took me 38 years to realize it. Like, not everybody was built like you, but they're all here to teach you something. Done. So, Anthony, what homework are we going to send them out with this time?
I don't know. I said we turn it to Julie and have her give us some homework.
Okay, I am going to give some homework. My past in education. No, kidding.
Nice.
I am going to give some homework.
Do you grade on a curve? I just need to know real quick.
The level of acceptance is very low on the homework. I would say this, and part of this homework will be a challenge because there are a lot of people that probably hear a conversation about relationships, and relationships evolve. Like, I am so blessed. I'm in this whole second chance life, and I call it that, where, I've been married to my husband for 13 years, together for 15 years. But guess what? We're still static and dynamic. So if you're listening to this and you're in a relationship of some sort, you don't have to take anything that's said here and say like, oh my gosh, I feel like this. I got to run. Like, that's when you buckle down and you have like the scariest conversations ever. You sit down with your partner and you actually have those honest conversations. My husband and I have very honest conversations because we want to live life together, and that means growing and changing together. When I got involved in investing and personal growth and development in a very serious way, I just looked at him and said, whoa, I'm changing a lot and we could easily go like this. So like, if we're not working at this, because I told him, I'm not going to stop. This is really healthy and this is taking me in really great ways. And I'm not going to stop, but I don't want to lose us along the way. So, and guess what? Just by me communicating that to him and being honest and being uncomfortable by like, not saying, hey, it's over if you don't do this, but saying, hey, I'm concerned that this is happening in my life and this is something I want. And I don't we just had that very honest conversation. We've always been very honest. And so it's like, you do those things. You have those scary conversations when something is small. So it like the homework for anyone listening to this, basically, since we were talking a lot about like relationships and stuff, is like, if there is something percolating in you, go and have the tough conversation. Have it while it's small so that you can engage with it and deal with it. Because it's a lot easier if that's someone that you really want to spend life with. You're going to have to do that. You're both progressing and evolving and growing and developing into the next best version of yourself. There's a little pain involved. So deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
and then, yeah.
Well, I was going to say, I would even extend this, to our listeners out there who are in single land, or, if you're not in a place where you want to have that conversation with your partner, tying this to the core concept that we addressed here today, which was identity, the identity that we have for ourselves, accepting ourselves, and then the identity that other people project onto us and the boxes that they try to keep us into, is really thinking about, where is my identity taking me? What am I trying to become? And what are the obstacles that are holding me back from that? And a lot of times it's the network, the relationships around you, and they're not holding you back maliciously. But if you have that conversation and like with a friend or a family member or a partner and say, this is where I'm trying to go. I don't want to be this person anymore. And that's a really scary, hard conversation to have as well. So I just wanted to piggyback that onto your homework, is like,
I love that.
If people are holding you back, or there's somebody in your life that you need to have that conversation with, so that they can become not just a obstacle, but they can be that wind behind you. That's like, I have your back. Let's do this.
Yep. I love that. I absolutely love that. I was going to give some work for other people, but you got it done.
Yeah, people, get to work. This
Austin,
is a big one.
What work do you have? Come on, everybody has to give some work now.
God damn, this is going to be a really homework heavy week.
No, I don't like homework. I'm good.
Acceptance. Go accept people.
No, I'm just charged up for our conversation tomorrow. Just like I thought, we're besties. I'm super excited. What part of the
I thought
country?
we were besties.
What? That's a ebb and flow relationship. What part of the country do you live in?
I'm on the Canadian border in North Idaho.
Okay, I like it. I'll buy a place up there. Perfect. All right, guys.
God's
if you
country.
if you like this episode, send it out to your friends. Rate us and review us. We'll see you next time, guys.
Thanks for joining us here at the Brain Dump. Now, before you go, it's important to solidify what you've learned here today by taking action. If all you do is listen, then you're only going to retain a small amount of the information you consumed here today. So take a quick moment to really lock in any key insights, tidbits, or pieces of wisdom that you want to carry with you into the future. You can do this by heading over to iTunes and leaving a review with your top 3 takeaways from this episode. If you've already left a review, first, thank you so much. Second, it's time to start a brain dump journal. It doesn't have to be fancy, just a slip of paper will do where you can record a couple quick thoughts from each episode. Science shows this is one of the best ways to ensure long-term retention of new information. And finally, if you've got a brother, a sister, a coworker, or a best friend that you think would benefit from this episode, do them and us a favor and share with them this episode. Your support, as always, means the world to us.